Field partners then disperse the loans to borrowers and collect repayments over time. They also give you updates every month with how much of your loan has been repaid, and every 3 months they give you a written update as to how your borrower is doing. Once loans have been fully repaid, you get your money back in your Wokai account, and you can reallocate that to another borrower in China, specifically at that field partner. Now, for those of you that know Kiva, how is it different? We can't allow you to take your money all the way back out of the system. And the reason for that is that there's legal issues with China. So we've tried to make it as transparent as possible in showing that, yes, this borrower is repaying the money and you do get it back in your Wokai account, but we can't actually transfer it back over the water and give it to you at your door. So on the back end, what we've done is we've created a due diligence process so that we choose upstanding field partners that meet our requirements. We require that they've been around for 3 years, and that they have established a 95% and above loan repayment history. How we ensure that due diligence process is we have our microfinance team go down to the field partner, and they meet with local government, they meet with the management of the microfinance institution. They clear out the financials and make sure that they are what they say they are. And then they go and do a random borrower check. They'll walk through the village, and they'll talk to random borrowers and make sure that they're actually getting the loans that they say that they're getting. And how we end up choosing our field partners is really in the hands of our investment committee. Our investment committee consists of microfinance professionals who ultimately vote yes or no as to whether or not we work with a field partner. So after we do that due diligence process, we write up a report, a 10-page report on the microfinance institution. Then we present that to the investment committee who says, yes, this is a good organization partner, and they're no good. And then after we partner with the field partner, we then train them on how to use the back end of our system. Because as you can imagine, someone in rural Inner Mongolia doesn't know how to use a Wokai website. So on our Learn tab, this is where we'll have content that includes research articles, case studies, news, pictures, videos, podcasts, all about entrepreneurs in China. Contributors can upload content, rate it, share it. They can also contact the content publishers to further network. And what we're doing on the back end to facilitate that Learn platform is we've taken a large chunk of documents, 20 to 30 documents that we've worked with through other microfinance institutions and organizations in China, taking their content that's just sitting on shelves and translated into English. So we're putting both the Chinese and the English with a core set of archived documents to really just give a colorful background of China microfinance. And then we encourage all of our users to create new content, both on the microfinance players, our field partners, and borrowers, as well as Wokai fellows. And then we are working on a Wokai blog with lots of the microfinance players in China. We're working together to create a cumulative blog with live content about microfinance in China. So then on our Connect tab, the goal of this is to connect field partners to field partners, borrowers to contributors, contributors to contributors, and in general, the China microfinance community with the U.S. microfinance community. We really believe that by reaching those two communities, we'll really be able to grow the microfinance ecosystem as a whole. So on the back end, how do we do that? We've established a chapter network across the U.S. One in San Francisco, one in Seattle, one in New York. It consists cumulatively of 75 volunteers, with New York being our largest chapter, and San Francisco being a close second. And we're working with our chapters as well as volunteers outside of our chapters to employ a viral marketing online for when we launch our website at the end of November. We also have established network ties within the U.S. and China microfinance community to further spread public awareness about Wokai. So our first two field partners are Shifeng Jiaoda Women's Sustainable Development Association. They have a loan portfolio of about $1 million, and they have 3,000 clients. Average loan size is $600, and it's pretty similar for our second field partner in Sichuan in Yulong County. They have a loan portfolio of $800,000 and about 2,000 clients. So to give you a little perspective here, the average loan on Cuba is $1,000, and these microfinance institutions are really tiny, 2,000 clients. To give you an idea of the microfinance institutions that you read about, the Sequoia venture capital firms investing in India, those have 200,000, 300,000 clients. So in order for this institution to grow to that size, it's going to take a lot of loan capital and a lot of nurturing. So how we help in year one, in the short term, we're putting more capital in the hands of more borrowers in China. Why that's important is that for those two field partners, in order to scale up to those 100,000, 200,000 clients, we need to put more capital in more hands. So our immediate focus is getting more money over to field partners. So in our first year, we're going to partner with 4 field partners and raise $500,000. Now, why not just partner with one field partner and give them $500,000? these field partners with 2,000 clients, we can't grow them by 400% in 1 year. It's not going to be sustainable operations. So we have to do slow, steady growth, spreading across our $500,000 over 4 field partner operations. And then in the long term, we really want to grow the microfinance sector as a whole, raise awareness, information flow, transparency through putting all of, our field partners' financials online, and then collaboration within the microfinance community in China. So a little bit about how this story started. There's Casey and I. So I was first introduced in 2001 to China and economics, and I was really interested in better understanding how China was going to grow its private sector over time as it further opened up its doors to market capitalism. So as a Berkeley student, went over to China expecting to talk to people about this and realized I couldn't speak Chinese. So then just put my head in the sand and learned Chinese for a year. And then in summer 2004, I volunteered with Planet Finance, which is it's a microfinance intermediary that focuses on technology. So they provide computers, mobile banking, these type of services to micro entrepreneurs in China. And then I worked at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences under Professor Du Xiaoshan. And Professor Du is known as the Muhammad Yunus of China. He started the first microfinance institution in 1994 with government funding, and he's been a big leader in the field since then. And then in summer 2005, I returned to China. I obtained a grant from the United Nations Development Program to do urban credit surveys to see what's the demand for credit in urban areas. And the stimulus for that is that over the course of 2003-2004, a lot of these state-owned enterprises were privatizing and they were laying off workers. And as they laid off workers, you had huge population of people who were really highly trained, but they had no money to start a business. So UNDP thought, why not open a microfinance institution in an urban area and give these people loans? So Tianjin Microfinance Institution was a result of that, and I spent a month and a half at that institution working with their borrowers, and I wrote my thesis on urban microfinance in China. Then after I graduated, I returned to do a Fulbright on underground financial institutions, because that was the most interesting part of my experience in Tianjin, was that hearing that people didn't get loans from the microfinance institution, they were going to loan sharks, and so I wanted to know what loan sharks were doing. And so I spent about 6 months doing that, and then I returned to Tsinghua University to do further research on China microfinance with Professor Du over at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, and I met Casey Wilson. She had just graduated from Wesleyan, and she was an economics and Chinese major looking to get involved in development work. So I took her on one of my field trips to I was going to Ningxia, to a microfinance institution there, and talked to her about the idea of maybe starting something like a Kiva for China, and what did she think about it? And we've further grown the platform since then. So we founded the organization in spring 2007. After that, it's a long story as to how we developed. It took us about 1.5 years to get where we are today. The biggest thing you have to do when you want to start an organization is you got to get money. So how do we do that? I reached out to all my personal contacts and knocked on every door I knew. I didn't get very far. I got one person to give me money, but the amount of money he gave me, $10,000, was like nothing compared to what he had. But I was still happy. I took it with a smile. And presented him saying, hey, we want to start this website. And basically when you fundraise as a startup, people are really betting on you. And I had written a couple economic papers with him on China and the growth of the private sector. So it was only naturally he would give a little seed money to our nonprofit. Casey's parents have a foundation, and they gave the bulk of our funding, which was really fortunate, $40,000, which is a ton. We couldn't have done where we are today without that. And then we reached out to the personal contacts, the usual suspects in the Valley, Omidyar Network, Silicon Valley Angels, Draper Richards Foundation. Even though I work at Draper Fisher Jurvetson, they haven't given us any money. But I haven't pitched it in yet. So then in July 2006, we also decided to give some of our personal money. People really like it if you have skin in the game. So I sold my car for $10,000, and then Casey had savings of $10,000. Then we had 70 grand, which was enough we thought, to plow into a website, which we were guesstimating was going to cost us about $50,000. So then we started building. Casey went back to Beijing to build the website. She was going to live in Beijing full time while I was working at Morgan Stanley, and I was planning to build out the chapters in the U.S. because we figured, when we don't have a mass kind of sex appeal like Keyboard, you can have poverty alleviation worldwide. We're specifically focused on China microfinance. So how do we reach out to people who have a China interest? We really need people on the ground to understand the network.